6,000 units sold in 2018. No, that's not the Cayman and the Boxster, because Porsche sold more than 8,000 units of those across Europe. That's the SsangYong Tivoli, and today I'm testing the facelifted 2020 model. Yes, there are more exotic brands than SsangYong, but cars with, it's not a crest, they're not antlers. Apparently these are two dragons. So, cars with two dragons on the bonnet are rare in Europe. The Indian Mahindra&Mahindra owned SsangYong is a Korean brand which sells about 12,000 cars a month, globally. Majority finds buyers in Korea. SsangYong Tivoli competes with cars like Citroën C3 Aircross and C4 Cactus, Hyundai Kona, Kia Stonic or VW T-Roc. The latter is slightly larger than the Tivoli, while the others are slightly smaller. I reviewed the original SsangYong Tivoli in 2015, soon after it debuted at the Geneva Motor Show. SsangYong calls this the new Tivoli. And since you've probably never seen the original car, you may just as well believe it is a new car, but it is just a facelift. Most changes are visible inside the top-spec model, where you even get a digital instrument cluster. This, being the second highest trim, barely differs from the pre-facelift car. Outside there are refreshed head and tail lamps. The black A and B pillars, along with black strip on the C pillar, give an impression that the roof is floating. Just like before the facelift, the front and rear are flat and simple. The only thing that stands out are the bulging rear fenders. Something I failed to notice a couple of years ago when I drove the pre-facelift car are these very wide and exposed sills. So getting in and out, especially during the winter and the autumn when the car is wet and dirty, is a bit of a challenge, and it's something you need to consider if you're considering a crossover because you think getting in and out is easier. Changes inside are cosmetic as well, but they are for the better. Buttons on the left side of the steering wheel are now larger, though in certain lighting conditions completely illegible. White on silver? Seriously? There are more driver aids now, including hill descent assist. The Tivoli can be ordered with all-wheel drive, and SsangYong keeps calling it an SUV. Among the hard-to-read buttons is one for heated steering wheel, and this is something I really like because once it's turned on, it stays on even if you turn the car off and put it back on again. The only thing you have to keep turning on, even during the winter, are the heated seats. These will turn off every time you turn the car off. But steering wheel, it's heated throughout the winter. The dials are newish as well, with a display between them. On startup, the display shows the tire pressure as well as the position in which the wheels are turned. I bet the latter is useful off-road should you plan to take your Tivoli off the beaten path. The petrol engine version has almost 18 cm ground clearance, and the diesel gets 16 cm ground clearance. There is also a new radio display, because calling this an infotainment system would be too much. I did find Apple CarPlay and Android Auto here in the menu, but either my phone cannot discover the car or the car cannot discover my phone. In the front, the car feels spacious. There are good cup holders, a cubby for your phone, large door pockets, a deep glove box, and a decent amount of storage under the armrest, with this cutout for a tablet or a larger notebook, or for the car manual because it doesn't fit in the cutout in the glove box. And there is more dust and scratch attracting piano black plastic, and there are silver knobs to make everything look a bit more premium. And the seat belts, I wasn't supposed to mention that, it's not in the script, but it annoys me greatly. The seat belts get tangled every time I release them, And also the windows get foggy very quickly, which is understandable because of the weather. However, if you turn the window heater on, it's really insufficient, so you're best doing it by yourself. And by the way, now the car is warm, so it sort of kind of works. When the car is cold, turning the window heater on does absolutely nothing. And again, I've driven a few cars in my life, and this one is just... it's like someone forgot to plug the heater or something. Annoyance. Besides the base trim, all remaining versions can be specified with an automatic gearbox and all-wheel drive. There are two engines to choose from, a 1.5 turbo petrol, 163 horsepower, or a 1.6 diesel, 136 horsepower. This is a front-wheel drive car with a petrol engine and an automatic gearbox. I recall complaining about the driving position in the pre-facelift model. There was no horizontal adjustment of the steering column. Now the higher trims get reach adjustment, but it is insufficient, so perhaps it's just that the cockpit is badly designed. And that's not the only problem. High window line, wide A-pillars and wing mirrors mounted close to them limit visibility. Also, I have to move any passenger all the way back to see anything through the right window. At the junction, visibility over the shoulder is even worse. No wonder the blind spot alert keeps beeping all the time. The Tivoli has too many blind spots for a city SUV. Good thing there is a reversing camera and parking sensors, but after a couple of days of rain, the parking sensors stopped working. They resumed service after the car dried out for 2 days. And this seat. I know my spine is not an oracle, but there is no lumbar support adjustment, and it takes me 15 to 20 minutes behind the wheel of the Tivoli to feel my back hurting. Just saying. The pre-facelift model was normally aspirated, so you really had to step on it for the 6-speed Aisin gearbox to shift down. With a turbo engine, the Tivoli is much more usable in everyday life. Unfortunately, it is also more thirsty. I barely managed to get about 9 liters per 100 kilometers combined. SsangYong promises 7. The Tivoli gets a 50-liter tank. Good thing there is a stop and start system, but it works better in that BMW. In certain situations, it just takes too long for it to start, kind of like in early stop and start Fiat models. Also, a couple of times it happened to me that I was in traffic on a steep incline and I would let the brake go and the car would start rolling back, just as if it was a manual. And this car, the Tivoli, is supposed to have hill start assist as standard. I don't know what's wrong with this car. The Tivoli also has lane assist and regular cruise control, which you can set in 1 km/h increments rather than long press for plus or minus 10 km/h like in other cars. In the rear, it's the same as in the pre-facelift car. There is good legroom and headroom, large door pockets, cup holders in the armrest. Instead of backseat pockets, you get these elastic strings which can hold a water bottle, sort of. According to SsangYong, the boot volume is 393 liters. Perhaps without the spare wheel, With a mini spare, you get about 260 liters above the false floor and another 40 or so above the mini spare. The styrofoam inserts for the toolkit block the possibility of storing the boot cover underneath the floor. There is a 12-volt socket. The double floor is too high for shopping bag hooks to be useful, but thanks to the double floor, you get flat loading space with the seats folded. SsangYong Tivoli prices start at €16,000. This test car is in the Onyx trim with an automatic gearbox and costs about €26,000. The SsangYong Tivoli kind of sort of makes sense in lower trim because then it's cheap and you can turn a blind eye to some of its minor annoyances. However, the higher the trim, the more interesting the competition is. And have you ever considered a SsangYong Tivoli? Are you aware that the brand is offered in Europe? Let me know in the comment section below. Subscribe for more of my sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews. Don't forget to like and share this video and other videos, why the hell not, and hit the notification bell to be, notified about new uploads. I post every Friday. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.